Many people who would have seen the videos of our quests, which are terrific, great fun days out, where we are seeking out the real royal bloodlines and their hidden histories of these lands, England. And of course, all are welcome to join us. But what do we really mean by real royal bloodlines and hidden histories? Why has it been hidden, and how does this relate to Priory teachings?
Absolutely. I mean, for many centuries, for millennia, Priory has been in many guises. I made reference to Freemasonry. I think it's very important, before I answer that question, to differentiate between Masonic and Knights Templar. They're not the same, and this is where people have this misunderstanding. Within Freemasonry, there is a Masonic Knights Templar chapter or division, Royal Ark Mariners, Hospitaliers. They're all associated, not even two, associated with Knights Templar. But that isn't the original source, and that is so important for people to understand. In the sense of Freemasonry, and in the sense of true Knights Templar, there's thousands of years apart in the history. For myself, I can categorically say that I am a direct descendant of the original master of Knights Templar. Proven fact. There's things that I have been shown over the years and seen over many years that I would never reveal to another living creature. But there's certain things that are permissible to reveal and share and people to know. You asked about why the secrecy. I think the key word that I know from my own belief system, the key word has to be jealousy. Sadly, when mankind evolved, existed, survived the deluges of this planet, they seem to sadly hold on to and retain that infamous word jealousy. If in this modern world that we live in, someone has something that you haven't got, then there's an element of jealousy. And that can breed hatred. And that hatred can turn into a very dangerous tool. Now, we say that knowledge is power, and yes it is, because it empowers the individual. If we have any type of knowledge in life, the universe and everything, then we have this element of power within our control of our own life, so we believe that we can do that. But if we put that out to the world fully, people have different values, there's different cultures, there's different tribes on this earth. When we look, and it's a highly controversial subject, I'm not racist at all. Many people probably would class me as, but I'm not racist at all. But the message I always try and clearly get across is, we are not the same. There are 7 types of species on this planet. We are not the same. There are different bone structures. There's different ways the way people walk, the way they talk, the way they think, the way they act. Everyone is individual, but within that individuality, least us not forget there are 7 different tribes. Now again, we could look back to the towers of Babylon, the Babel Tower and all that. We could look back to the Sumerian times of the Hashem-Vuhul. We could look back to any type of period, era. Let's bring it back to the forefront. Let's wind it forward a few millennia. Let's bring it to the Bible again, because that's what most people in the Western side seem to understand or know of, because it's embedded into them and drawn into them at a very early age. And we have the fact that the alleged God was so angry with the human race that he gave them different languages, so they spoke in tongues, and he cast them out to the 4 corners of the earth. Why would a God do that? There probably was a little message there to say, well, because God, or this creature, or Enki, whoever he was, she was, that entity suddenly realised that you can't have these creatures living in harmony. You can't have these tribes as one. The tribes of Israel, the stories of those, again in the Bible. It is impossible to allow all tribes to live under one happy dome. It doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. If it worked, we wouldn't have wars in the world. If it worked, we wouldn't have a religion professing to be doing God's work by beheading people. The most ridiculous thing on the planet. Oh, God said it's great and I'll go to paradise if I behead someone. How ridiculous is that? The Judaic path, Judaism, if we look at those, God said that each boy has to have his bar mitzvah and have his foreskin ripped off with no anaesthetic on a turnstile. I don't remember anything on a clay tablet saying that. If we look at any form of religion on this planet, the only thing that religion is meant to do on this planet is control you. We're not looking to control people. We want you to see the truth. We want you to see what's truly out there. We want you to see the falsity of this world that people proclaim to have such a wonderful society. It is far removed from being a wonderful society when you hear of death, doom and destruction on the streets of every city every day. It is far removed from being peaceful and happy when you can walk through any city in this country, in England especially, and see homeless people on the streets. Yet we help other tribes instead of our own tribes first. Is that right? Is that wrong? Who knows? But these are the things that Priory allows you to challenge and awaken to and see.
Certainly lots of interesting thoughts there, and lots of, hopefully people will pause to think and think deeply about it, and maybe even come to us for more answers. There's certainly lots of interesting stuff there. So I think you've probably already answered this next question, but I'll answer it anyway. So many paths worship or revere a god or gods. Why not in this path? What do we mean by the term God? And what is Priory's take on creation?
Exactly. Well, I think we've covered some of those parts already.
Really, haven't you? But if you've got anything else to add to it.
I think there's only one thing to add is that the worship part, that was the most important thing to portray and get across that message. No one should worship anyone. That's the best way of putting it. To worship is a creation of words in a societal system that is designed to suppress you, to control you, and tell you what's right and tell you what's wrong. Worship means that you're subservient. Worship means that you're not as good as the item, the deity that you're worshipping, that you're a lesser creation. And what Priory is attempting to allow you to see, to empower you to see, is that every creation is the same. Okay, some creations have more powers than others. Some creations can, or some creatures, say human species, some humans can see into the future, some humans can read minds, some humans can move objects by the power of their mind, telekinesis. None of that really matters in the scheme of things, because there is one clear defined role that everyone knows throughout time. You're created by whatever means. You survive. You don't live, you survive your environment, wherever that may be. And then you cease to exist at the end of it, in the physical form. So Priory's not saying is that you cease to exist fully. We're saying you cease to exist in that physical form because the physical structure is no longer required, because you've gone through that process.
So if someone is inspired and interested by what we've had to say this evening, what do they next do? What can they expect from this new journey, their new journey maybe within Priory?
I think get in touch, that's the main thing, obviously, to make contact with us. If you don't make contact with us, just do your own research. That's the only message that I think we like to get out there to people is believe nothing, accept nothing, question everything. Do that. If anything, if you're not interested in being part of Priory, that's fine. It's not the right time for you, and that's perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong. There's no pressure. There's no encaged process that says you must do this. Our societal beliefs are very relaxed in that sense. It doesn't matter which walk of life you come from. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter what sexuality you are. It doesn't matter anything of that. What matters is about you, the whole you. And if you just take away from this today just a 10% of what we've spoken about today, then that's brilliant. That's amazing. If you take on more than 10%, that's absolutely fantastic. But if you just took 10% away, or if we've allowed you to start challenging and questioning your own surroundings, your own environment as you've been watching and listening to us, then we've achieved something really positive.
Thank you, Alec, and I hope everybody watching has been inspired by what Alec has just had to say. We're going to take a short break and then we'll come back with some more specific points that Alec is going to share with us tonight.